Apple announced the 2022 iPhone SE, and this is a really interesting phone. And I'd say it's probably the most important iPhone out of the bunch for a few reasons. But there are some things to consider when buying it, and I'm gonna go over some of the specs and shortcomings of this new iPhone. Let's start with the design. The iPhone SE features the exact same design as the previous iPhone SE, which is an almost exact copy of the iPhone 8. That means that you're gonna get some thicker looking bezels and a dated design, but a phone that still feels sleek and easy to handle. The iPhone SE has some staples of the previous iPhones, and that includes Touch ID. And while I do enjoy Touch ID, I wish that Apple decided to instead do it more like the iPad Air 4 or its clone, the iPad Air 5 or the iPad Mini, where you find the Touch ID button and the power button on the side and not a home button. Because if they did that, then we could have gotten more real estate on the iPhone SE and it would have freed up the space at the bottom. At the same time, I do understand why they would do that. It's a budget phone, so we kind of have to curb our expectations. Now, overall, I don't mind the design too much. It's like flat and sleek, and Apple has always made good looking phones. But if I had to choose between any type of design, I would say that I'd rather go with the look of the iPhone 12/iPhone 13. I like the squared look, but at the same time, these aren't ugly looking devices. The iPhone SE comes in 3 different colors: Starlight, Midnight, and Red, which are basically black, white, and product red. And I don't necessarily know which color I'm gonna get, but let me know which color you think I should get in the comments down below. The iPhone SE has a 4.7-inch Retina display with True Tone technology. It also has up to 625 nits brightness for using it outdoors. Moving on to storage, the iPhone SE comes in 3 lackluster options. You get a 64 gig, 128 gigs, and 256 gigs. If you're still deciding, I would strongly advise to get the one that you can afford. And if you can stretch your budget a little bit, go with the 128 gigs. Otherwise, 64 gigs may be good for now, but you really have to spend a lot of time managing your storage. Come on, Apple. In 2022, it would be a good idea to no longer offer any other phones at 128 gigs. If you look at the competition where in the budget phone market, most of those do not sell any phones that are 64 gigs. If this phone is going to last people a long time, then they're going to run out of space real soon. So y'all better fix up, Apple. Moving on to the A15 chip. Wow. So Apple decided to put the A15 chip in the iPhone SE, and that's something that they always do. There's nothing special about that. The purpose of the phone is an old body with the newer chip. But this chip, though, is a really good one. It's fast. It's the cutting edge, latest technology of chips that you can find on an iPhone. It's the same chip as my iPhone 13 and the iPhone 13 mini, slightly tweaked on the iPhone 13 Pro, but generally speaking, you're not going to notice a difference. And speaking of not noticing a difference, I genuinely think that you will not notice a difference if you have any of the newer iPhones, which is like the iPhone 10 I consider, and newer. If you have the iPhone 11, you're not going to notice a day-to-day difference in terms of power and processing and doing things on the A15 chip. Instead, most of the improvements are with efficiency, and in this chip, that means that it will have a pretty solid battery life. Another bonus to this would be that the iPhone SE 2022 will have longevity and support. As typical with iPhones, Apple supports it with software updates for years to come, and having the latest chip means that you're going to have access to the latest and greatest software improvements for years to come. Now, jumping back to the battery, because of the A15 chip, we're going to get some new improvements over the last generation, which is good. That's really good. We always want better battery because a dead phone is a useless phone. Luckily, Apple improved the battery life on the SE by adding up to 15 hours battery playback and fast charging. And with fast charging, that means you're going to get up to 50% charge in just half an hour using the 20-watt adapter. I'm also assuming that for environmental purposes, Apple is not going to include the 20-watt charger. And if you're in the market for some, I have some links from Amazon down below in the description. Go ahead, support the channel and take a look at those. Also, if you're still watching, can I get a subscribe? And Apple released a lot, so I got a lot to talk about. And if you like the vibe of this video, you're definitely going to like the vibe of my other videos. I got a lot of things to talk about. Moving on to the camera, the iPhone SE 2022 will also have an improved camera system. It will have a 12 megapixel camera with an f1.8 aperture. It's also going to have deep fusion photographic styles, which I never use, and smart HDR. So while this is probably not the camera that you want to buy if you're really camera and content focused and you want the absolute best in terms of footage and quality. It's not going to be the best, but it's still going to be pretty good. You don't always have to be the best. You could just be pretty good and still get by. You're going to be okay with this phone, I promise. For video, you can get 4K video recording up to 60 frames per second, or you can also get 1080p up to 24 frames per second if you want that buttery smooth slow-mo. Question that you might be asking is, should you buy the iPhone SE? And I'd say that it checks a lot of the boxes for a majority of people. If you're a student or generally someone on a budget, then this is definitely going to be the phone for you. It can do a lot. It has the newest and most powerful chip, a solid camera on paper, gonna have to test that, it has improved battery life, and a pretty cheap base price of only $429, and that's what makes this an amazing value. But if you want something that is better but similar, you can look at the iPhone 13 mini. They have a very similar display size, but it has a better display. It also has a better camera, better battery life, and it works with MagSafe, so you can unlock those MagSafe accessories. And again, if you're getting 128 gigs, it brings it closer to the iPhone 13 mini than the regular base model of 64 gigs, which no one should buy. So what do you think? Let me know in the comments down below your thoughts and opinions on the iPhone SE. I'm definitely gonna pick one up and do an unboxing and full review, so make sure to subscribe if you're not subscribed already. Got a lot coming. Make sure to give the video a thumbs up, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.